Hello guys and welcome back to Tom Talks. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And today we are going to be reviewing The Batman. I've been looking forward to this film for a while. In fact, I had to wait a bit because we went to watch it when I visited my mate down in Plymouth. It was a massive cinema, big screen, just what you want when you're going to see that latest blockbuster. And yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a very different take on Batman to what I've seen in films before. Like, with Ben Affleck's, it's been sort of like, oh, Batman kills now, Batman's this, and like, the Dark Knight trilogy was very dark, very edgy, very sort of gritty. And then with Batman's in the past, you've had the sort of more camp stuff like Batman and Robin. You've had the sort of dark and weird from Tim Burton. And you've got this one now, and it's directed by Matt Reeves, who's most well known probably for the Planet of the Apes remakes, that trilogy. I've not seen the last one of those actually, but I enjoyed the first two. They were both very good films. I think they did interesting things with the concept, and I think he's done a good job here. I think it's a very good film, as I've said, but it's shot well. I think it fits the themes and the aspects of the movie well. It looks great as well. It's very cinematic, which is what you want, and it feels like a Batman story. I think somebody else mentioned this, but Gotham looks like a piece of absolute crap, and I think that's kind of the point, because Gotham is not supposed to look like this amazing place where everything's fine and dandy. It's not. It's supposed to show why Batman is needed, how he's holding the city together. And it's supposed to look dark and gritty and collapsing from the seams. And I think the way it's shot and the way it's shown does that very well. And I think the way it shows the characters throughout the film, whether they be the main characters or supporting cast, they're there to show why Gotham's in that place and why it's this sort of run-down society that's being held together by the seams, and it's not this sort of idealistic paradise which some elements of Batman have shown it to be before. So I like that. As for the story itself, I think first we have to go to the characters. Robert Pattinson as Batman, I thought it was good. Would I say he's my Batman? I'm not so sure. I quite like Christian Bale's Batman. I like the Batman from the Arkham games. But I think he's good, and I think he fits what this film is trying to do. I quite like his Bruce Wayne. It's a very different take on Bruce Wayne. He's sort of very aloof. He's a bit sort of weird. Motivations are very interesting. This is his life. This is all his life is. It's not focusing on the Bruce Wayne at all. And then as the story progresses, he realises why he's Batman and why he should be Batman, rather than this sort of idea that this is all he's got. He should be Batman because of what it stands for, rather than it's just what he has. By the way, I will be touching on some spoilers. I'll probably pop it down below in like the comment section or the profile section, that sort of thing, just to make sure. As for the rest, the cast, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman was good. I liked her interpretation of the character, although the love romance thing I wasn't completely sold on. I know Batman and Catwoman have had relations in the past, but I wasn't completely sold on it, to be quite honest, but it didn't bother me enough. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon was great. He was great. Like, I like Gary Oldman as Gordon, but Jeffrey Wright was really good. And I did kind of like how he trusts Batman, but the rest of the police don't trust Batman, because obviously the rest of the police in this film are quite corrupt. I did like the dynamic between those two. It worked very well. That you could tell that they had like a very human, a very trustworthy relationship. Colin Farrell as the Penguin was good. I kind of like the fact that he had like a nightclub and it was filmed at Printworks. That was like a cool touch. He fit the role of Penguin quite well. He felt like a more comic accurate Penguin, like the Penguin in Arkham, rather than this sort of like weird, silly, buffoonish type. So I like that. Paul Dano as the Riddler. I mean, look, in terms of the great villain performances of all time, it's definitely up there. He was fantastic. He fit the Riddler to a T. and his interpretation of the character was fantastic. I loved his performance. Honestly, one of the best villain performances I've ever seen. Like, we've had some great villain performances over the years. Heath Ledger as the Joker is one of them, of course, but he fit the Riddler to a T. And I'm so glad they used a character like the Riddler for this film. They took Batman sort of to his more detective-y side rather than just crime fighting. He had to figure out what was going on and why this was happening and why he did this. I love that because that's what Batman is. Batman is a crime fighter, but he's also a detective. He uses his brain, he thinks, he analyses the situation, he looks at the crime scene. And I loved that about the film. And Paul Dano, honestly, like, fantastic performance. Honestly, I'd say, like, worthy of a Best Supporting Actor award at the Oscars or the BAFTAs or whatever. In my opinion, he was fantastic. And I need to go check out his other stuff because he's a good actor. John Turturro, I hope I spelled that name right. He played Falcone, who was kind of like a secondary villain. He was alright, you know. He did his job. He didn't wow me with his performance, but he fit the role well. And as for the new Joker that's teased, I'm interested. I don't think we got enough to make a conclusion, but I'll be interested to see where his version of the Joker went. And I'm kind of glad we got that little clip because I think there was a deleted scene where Batman meets the Joker, and I think it's better to save that for the next film because I think it would have kind of took away a bit from the Riddler, sort of like, oh, the Joker's back. But I'm interested to see where they take the Joker. The plot of the film itself was pretty good. I think at the start I was enjoying it, but I was like, okay, where's this going? And then I saw where it went, and it actually kind of like surprised me where it went. It didn't go completely where I thought it was going to go. And the fact that at the end, like, the Riddler just wanted to completely destroy Gotham because of he was, like, a orphan and, like, he was treated badly, it kind of made sense. It was interesting. And the way he kind of tears down sort of all these figures that sort of run the show, including Bruce's own dad, who we kind of realise wasn't a completely good guy. Like, he had his flaws. He wasn't a terrible person, but, you know. And it kind of changes, like, Bruce's mindset in the film, which I thought was good as well. He tests Batman and his resolve very well. And then at the end of the film, like, Gotham is almost destroyed. I mean, it's almost flooded. And the end of it is just Batman and the National Guard just saving people, having to deal with this new Gotham where, like, criminals are taking advantage of all the chaos. And I'm very interested to see where things go in the next film. I also kind of like that this isn't connected to the DCEU because I think that's originally where they were going with, like, because Ben Affleck was originally going to be in this film, but obviously he decided to move on from the Batman character. I'm kind of glad it's not connected because then I feel like you'd have to include, oh, Aquaman and Superman and, you know, and I think Batman works better when it's kind of focused on him. Like, I don't mind Batman showing up in, like, collaboration films like Justice League and stuff, but I kind of like it being sort of focused in on him and what he's doing. Marvel films, I think that's fine, like in the new Spider-Man film. I don't mind Doctor Strange being there. He's like a pivotal part of the story. It's a Spider-Man film, but I'm kind of happy to see Marvel characters being there. Whereas with Batman, a lot of his better stories is where it's just kind of focusing on him and what's going on in Gotham, personally for me. And I forgot to say, Alfred, played by Andy Serkis. I thought he was alright. I kind of like that they focused in a bit on Alfred being quite useful and quite clever. I think that worked. But I don't know, for me, Michael Caine is Alfred to me, and I don't think Andy Serkis has changed that. Andy Serkis is good. He's a good actor. I think what he's doing. But for me, Michael Caine is Alfred. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this film. I thought it was quite well paced as well for a 3-hour film. Didn't feel too long or like there was bits that needed to be moved. As I think about this, I kind of enjoy it more. I wouldn't say this is my favourite Batman film because I don't think I was like in love with it for the entirety. Like at the start I was a bit like, oh, okay, where's this going? And his portrayal of Bruce Wayne I think was cool. And his Batman was interesting, but I didn't love it, if you know what I mean. But I did really enjoy this film. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I'm kind of to and fro in between 8 and 8.5, but I think 8.5 is fair because I think I really enjoy this film, and I feel like when I watch it again, I'll get a more definitive view on it, and I think this film I'll enjoy it even more a second time because I feel like at the cinema I was kind of seeing what's going on. I think some of my mates were like falling asleep and stuff as well, like not because the film's bad, but because they were just knackered. But yeah, what's your thoughts on the Batman? Did you enjoy it? Did it live up to your expectations? Is it your favourite Batman film? Personally, for me, it's still The Dark Knight, but this is a very good film. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments, and until next time, this has been another Tom Talks.